Okay, we're ready to start our second meeting of the evening. This is a meeting of the Urbana City Council. Will the clerk please call the roll?
City Council members Ammons.
Here.
Brown.
Here.
Hazen.
Here.
Jacobson.
Here.
Miller.
Here.
Roberts. Wu.
Here.
Mayor Marlin.
Here. Next up is approval of the minutes from a previous meeting, which is the September 10th, 2018 public hearing, as well as the revised minutes from the September 17th council meeting. Is there a motion for approval?
So moved.
Second. Moved by Jared, seconded by Mary Alice. Are there any corrections? All those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
All those opposed, same sign. That motion passes. Additions to the agenda. I do have one modification of the agenda. Trinitas Development has asked the city to reschedule consideration of items 1B, C, and D on tonight's agenda to October 15th. So these are the three ordinances related to the Union Gardens development. If you're here tonight to make public comment about this project, we'll be happy to take public comment tonight, but there won't be any council discussion until October 15th. So I'll need a motion to reschedule.
I move that we reschedule items B, C, and D till October 15th.
I'll second.
Moved by Eric, seconded by Jared. All those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
All those opposed? Okay. So those three ordinances will be considered on October 15th at the next city council meeting. Okay, we have public input. Before we begin public input, I have a proclamation, which is very timely considering the discussion we just had. So Isak Griffiths, come on up. Right here? Here. Sit here. Okay. So this is a proclamation by the mayor of the city of Urbana, Illinois. Whereas, in 1971, A Woman's Place was the first battered women's shelter in North America and provided a safe place for women facing domestic abuse and providing the nation's first domestic violence hotline. Let's think about that a minute. The first in North America and the first domestic abuse hotline in the country. And in 1985, the Women's Emergency Shelter of Champaign County, later renamed the Center for Women in Transition, opened its doors of service to provide safe shelter for women and children. And whereas, in 2010, both aforementioned agencies merged to provide a continuum of services for women and children who had no other safe place to call home. And whereas, in 2014, the merged agencies were rebranded as Courage Connection to acknowledge that anyone can be a victim of domestic violence and to embody the services of safety, support, and success. And whereas, in our community, domestic violence directly affects families' ability to maintain a safe home with over 300 school-age children homeless on any given night. And whereas Courage Connection provides transitional housing for homeless women and children who are rebuilding their lives, as well as emergency shelter and supportive services for victims fleeing domestic violence to address the immediate need for safety, assessment, resources, and access to help. And whereas in our community, police answer over 2,000 domestic violence calls each year. And whereas Courage Connection provides a safe place for victims to go and seeks to create broader community understanding of this complex issue and establishes an environment in which survivors are empowered to work for their own safety and in which victims' experiences and voices are heard and respected. And whereas the city of Urbana humbly remembers those victims of domestic violence, supports the survivors, recognizes the many staff and community individuals who ensure that these services can continue for all. Now, therefore, I, Diane Wolf Marlin, Mayor of the City of Urbana, do hereby proclaim October 2018 as Domestic Violence Awareness Month in the City of Urbana, Illinois.
Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you for all you do. Thank you for all you do. Okay, I have 3 cards submitted by members of the public. If anyone else wishes to address the council, please fill out one of these yellow forms. They're on the back, at the table at the back of the room. First is Terry Townsend. You wish to speak about the Union Gardens development.
Can
You
hear
have
me?
5 minutes. Welcome.
Thank you. Good evening, Honorable Mayor, council members, or I said aldermen, and what few staff and public officials that are here, and taxpayers. I request when this issue comes before you that you defeat this proposal. As many of you know, I served for 10 years as an officer for the Housing Authority of Champaign County, and I've been involved with housing issues for a long time. This proposal shall accelerate gentrification of North Urbana. Taxes and housing overcrowding will increase. We must not take a holiday from history. For 50 years, we have relied on housing strategies that put people before revenue. This proposal is a step backward. The University of Illinois growth plans, undoubtedly, is the 800-pound gorilla in the room. The Pequot School, their strategy is now revenue over people. This is not mission creep. This is a creepy mission. I say that as I did both my undergraduate and my graduate work at the University of Illinois, and it's painful for me to take issue with my own school. Lastly, we need a town hall meeting on affordable housing. In the meantime, residents and stakeholders have options. First, they can go directly to students and explain to them the impact this has on them and taxpayers. Second, they can explain that gun violence is a frequent problem, and neither the city of Urbana, the city of Champaign, or no one in the county has talked about doing a needs assessment to really get at how that's informed or what informs it. And that students, if this development is allowed to go forward, students will have to navigate that gun violence most likely. And third, if they build this complex, then I think we will have to fight to keep these complexes empty. I think a plausible strategy. There are things that are occurring that we have not tried to deal with. Our planning departments, they are not coming up with poverty strategies. We are pricing not only our own people out of housing, but U of I students are starting to carry humongous debt loads. Some of you may know that student debt is a huge problem, but more directly related to Northeast and West Champaign and Urbana. Overcrowding has now reached a point that it did 50 years ago. And we continue to build and continue to build. We are overbuilt at this point, but no one seems to want to try to balance this whole housing approach. We're just allowing developers to come in and just build willy-nilly. Now, I would say to you, it is time for the community to fight back. I'm proposing this town hall meeting, and I will put it together myself if need be. If public officials do not understand that you represent the people that live in that area, not the University of Illinois, not real estate developers or anybody else, then we have no other alternative but to fight you. And I don't think that's what we need to do in this case, because I think this is a good mayor, a good body that will take a look at this and start trying to understand the issue. The Housing Authority has created 3 development corporations within it. 3 corporations within it. The largest study of African Americans in the country is underway in this country called Moving to Work. Everybody thinks that's some kind of social service program. It is not. That's a congressional experiment. And there's not one sentence in there from the city of Urbana, one sentence in there from the city of Champaign, Nobody has said anything about what's going on here because they have purposely tried to keep you in the dark. Now, I help with a whole bunch of issues, and when I come to you, I see something that's wrong. I warned about the problems the homeless community would have. It came to pass. When I began to look at things and investigate things, I find problems. I'm not just running around here trying to stir up trouble. I'm trying to make sure we have a balance and a good community to live in. That's it. Thank you. Any questions?
Thank you, Mr. Townsend.
I have a question.
Aaron?
So one of the things that I have been looking for, Terry, is a impact study on the rental rates surrounding what is basically the north end of Champaign in particular. Not so much Urbana, but in particular in Champaign, but there's a segment of my ward, of course, that's going to be affected by this. So is there something at the university or something that you are aware of that shows the impact of the rental rates? And I'm just looking at everything that's on University, starting at 5th Street, all those big apartment complexes, and then Campus Circle that we have. Now the other place that's coming up on Lincoln and University, then when you go all the way down Lincoln, apartment complex after apartment complex. What from your experience, would happen to, and if you could further explain why you say this would be a form of gentrification and taxes. I wanted you to elaborate a little bit on at least those things, the impact that it would have on the people living inside that, where they're being boxed in, so to speak.
The first thing, the data that you're looking for, the Housing Authority has, and the Regional Planning Commission has. The impact of taxes. If you look on Market Street right now, what's going on, we have a whole bunch of development that's going there. Taxes are going up incrementally. It will price the people that live in those areas out, those who cannot afford it. There will be some people that can afford to live there. But in addition to that, housing overcrowding is a problem right now. As Champaign has accelerated its building programs, they took, I should say, affordable housing on the corner of 5th and University on Park Street away from poor people, and those people have moved in with relatives. That will be accelerated by this process. You're starting to do development on the corners of Lincoln and other places. Some of those people will have to move in with family that cannot afford this housing. In addition, on a national basis, we're starting to look at what's happening internationally. China and some of these other countries that are, thinking about domestic, or I should say, nationalism. They may pull out of this whole education market. We see a decline in international students already. The University of Illinois Board of Trustees have been briefed by experts to be on the lookout for that. If they do, we could be saddled with a lot of apartments that we can't manage in Urbana or Champaign. And then who's going to fill those? That's something that's on the horizon as things become a little bit more and more uneasy around Japan and Korea and those areas. We have some serious housing problems, and I think that the University of Illinois is supposed to be an evaluator for moving to work. They've been paid over $1 million. We have 2 consultants, and one of them has been paid to date $793,000. We're redirecting a whole lot of funds away from housing, and that has people that contributes to the homelessness issue. There are some experts that say that overcrowding is a form of homelessness, and it's increasing in certain areas of the county.
Okay, thank you very much. This is actually a time, is this a question? Quick question. There will be discussion when we bring these items before the council in 2 weeks.
Mr. Townsend, I did have one question. You talked a lot about the overabundance of housing and overbuilding. A lot of people would say that the increase in housing supply eventually somewhere in the neighborhood will lead to lower rents, because oversupply should lead to lower rents. Is that something you just don't see or have never seen, or what's your feeling on that?
Alderman Brown, you're absolutely right with that. Theoretically, that's on target, that kind of thinking. But we don't see it anywhere. Because the overbuilding is targeted to high-income students. You look at right there, the post office on Neal Street, high-income students. You look further down the proposal on Neal and Washington, it's targeted at high-income students. You look at this proposal, and you have a black church involved. They're not talking about the people who live there. They're talking about high-income students. So at some point, you begin to say, well, wait a minute here, gang. We don't have that many students. Now, either the university is going to have to do something and bring in more from Indonesia and from other countries or something, because if you talk to realtors and experts in the area, we're at a max point right now, but they're targeted for specific kind of tenants, it's not affordable housing. And when you talk to the planning departments and ask them, do you have a plan that you're working with the township supervisor? They don't say anything. They have no proposals to address poverty, no proposals to address this narrow focus of high-income students. So, yeah, overbuilding should drive the prices down, but at this point, it is not doing that.
Okay, thanks.
You're welcome.
Thank you. Jackie Curry? Okay, who else? I don't have a card from anyone else.
You don't have my card?
I do have one from Dr. Underwood.
Oh, okay.
Oh, you've got both things on your card. All right, Dr. Underwood wishes to express she's continually concerned about the Dr. Ellis subdivision sewer problem, and she wished to speak about the Union Gardens development.
Yes, and I put the wrong numbers on there. I put that liquor thing in there. I didn't mean to put that. It's B, C, and I put E. That shouldn't be there. Mr. Townsend is always the expert, and he said a lot that I wanted to say, but he said it a lot better than I could say it. The News Gazette article I thought was very good, but he did not quote anything that I said. However, what I said was relating to gentrification and relating also to a lot of things that the elderly people, well, not of them all, one was 42, some of the people talked about in the Carver Drive in Attucks Court area in the News Gazette article. And some of the people did not know. And as I said, when I talked, a lot of people are still afraid. I just, the fear. I said that to someone relating to the school board. Our kids is, well, that's not what I'm here for tonight, but it's the same thing. I don't understand it. I was talking to some people the other night. What is it? What is it, that mentality, that slave mentality? I call it Mississippi, that's where I'm from. They say, no, Evelyn, it's the slave mentality. They still have it. They feel that they can't address, And it's not only in Champaign-Urbana, it's other places. But people better wake up, because when we know anything, like someone says, they didn't see us anywhere on the map. We're going to be gone. We want to make sure that, well, I'm against this Union Gardens coming into our area. And I think I said that before. Because, I was talking to someone, now, all of this planning, where's the grocery store? Now, I know people, I talked to some planners, I said, don't people try to put a grocery store? And what about the affordable housing? He said the affordable housing, they're going to down it from 1,000 to 1,300 to 800 or something. Who's going to be able to afford that? None of the people going to be able to live there. And I think someone said it in here, in one, and with the, I think Mrs. Curry said at the at the Plan Commission meeting, some of the things that Mr. Townsend that's just said, and some of the people here, it's going to be a mess. But they coming through, opening up a Carver, and one thing somebody told me, which I hadn't seen, they said that Dory Miller, they say they're not going to open it up, but if you go straight through there, you can to that Federal Drive is perfect fit. So they don't have to necessarily go by what they've planned, put in the planning. They can kind of change it. So I guess the biggest thing, my concern is, we have the first African-American subdivision, and that's Carver Drive. And the second one is Attucks Court, Christmas Attucks Court. And then in Urbana, we have the Dr. Ellis subdivision. And I know I can see them coming from this way, and I can see them coming from the University Avenue, and the people say, oh no, they'll never. Now they see that they're coming this way, and we're not gonna have anywhere to go. So I guess they maybe back to Africa, or some people said to Skid Row. I said, where's Skid Row? They said Rantoul. I didn't know there was a it's not laughable, but I want to stay where I am, and I think someone said here, I want to stay where I am, but we can see that it's coming. Now, the last thing I want to say is I was looking at a lot of information, and I can see now. Why a long time ago, and I think Councilman Aaron Ammon said it in the newspaper. Why a long time ago we hadn't thought about us, the Dr. Ellis people, and Champaign thought about their people in Carver Drive, because that's been there since '52, I think, and we've been there since '62. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Last comment card is from Eldris Melinda Carr, who doesn't wish to address the members, but she expressed continued concerns about the Dr. Ellis subdivision sewer issues, equity, and historic impact, and she registers opposition to the ordinances number 2018-09, 059, 058, and 060, which are related to the Union Gardens development and its impact on the Carver Drive subdivision. We have no unfinished business. No, chooses not to. We have no unfinished business tonight. Councilmember Dean Hazen will be presenting the report of the Standing Committee in Councilmember Roberts' place.
Okay.
Dean?
On behalf of Committee of the Whole, with recommendation for approval, I do move ordinance number 2018-09-062, an ordinance revising the annual budget ordinance, budget amendment number 3, body-worn cameras, UPD-FIN.
Second.
Moved by Dean, seconded by Aaron. Any discussion? Will the clerk please call the roll?
Councilmembers Ammons.
Yes.
Brown.
Yes.
Hazen.
Yes.
Jacobson.
Yes.
Miller.
Yes.
Wu.
Yes.
Mayor Marlin.
Yes, that motion passes. Ordinance number 2018-09-063.
Okay,
Mr. Hazen?
on behalf of Committee of the Whole, I so move this ordinance with recommendation for approval. Ordinance number 2018-09-063, and an ordinance amending Urbana City Code, Chapter 3, Section 3-43, increasing number of Class R1 liquor licenses for La
Mixteca.
Mixteca Incorporated, doing business as
Mixteca.
yeah, that, 510 North Cunningham Avenue, Suite Number 5, Urbana, Illinois.
I'll
Mayor.
second.
And
Okay, it's moved by Dean, seconded by Bill and Jared.
yeah, pursuant to the Illinois Liquor Control Act of 1934, I have to recuse myself from this vote. Thank you.
Will the clerk please call the roll?
Councilmembers Ammons.
Yes.
Brown.
Yes.
Hazen.
Yes.
Jacobson.
Yes.
And Wu.
Yes. That motion passes. Any reports of special committees? Reports of officers? We have one item of new business. That's an appointment to the Market at the Square Advisory Board. I'm recommending appointment of Gary Taylor. He's a 41-year resident of Champaign County, serves as the general manager of Common Ground Food Co-op in Urbana, and he's also serving on the board. Well, he'll be serving on the Market at the Square Advisory Board as the Downtown Urbana Business Representative. The advisory board for the market is one of these boards that has specific categories of representing specific either neighborhoods or business sectors, and this is one of them. So he'll be representing the Downtown Urbana business community. Is there a motion?
I'll move approval.
I'll second.
Moved by Jared, seconded by Mary Alice. Any discussion? All those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
All those opposed, same sign. That motion passes. No further business before the council. This meeting is adjourned. Thank you very much.